Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 14th of February. Not only is it match day, of course, but it's also Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Jonny.
Oh dear. Oh dear, Derek. I did not wish my wife a happy Valentine's Day this morning, and I have not got a card. So I'm going to have to go and rectify that. Let's hope she doesn't watch this video.
Actually,
did you do the good deed?
Well, I have done the good. I've surpassed myself this month. I did remember a card which is not like me, I've got to say. So, good luck with that, Jonny. I wish you well for the rest of the day.
This is not a good start to the day, Derek. You've already put me on the back foot. That's terrible news.
Let us know, folks, if you're in Jonny's position in the comments. But we're here to talk all things Rangers. Just before we do that, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors. As you all know, the MPH Group. If you're looking for home improvements or even a new boiler, then these are the guys to call. The all-important links are in the description below. Right, Jonny, it's a momentous day momentous day, not only for Valentine's Day, but in terms of the title race, Rangers with the opportunity tonight of going top of the division. If they beat Ross County by more than 2 goals, clear goals, then they will sit proudly at the top of the division at close of business tonight. Of course, Ross County coming to Ibrox under a new management regime. Don Cowie has been appointed as interim boss for the foreseeable future after a pretty disastrous spell for Derek Adams on his return to Dingwall. They ran Celtic close recently. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park, but a huge opportunity tonight for Rangers, isn't it? I mean, if someone would have said to you maybe a couple of months ago, we'd be in this position come the middle of February, you'd have thought they would be absolutely crazy. But Philip Clement has done a remarkable job, and it's a big opportunity tonight for Rangers to really put in a statement, not only performance but result as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for Rangers really to put a marker down under Philippe Clement and say there's a difference here to what's been in the past. To this last 2 or 3 seasons between 55 and now, where Rangers have stuttered when they should have been building on the success. And Clement can really show that his side has taken a leap forward by showing the mental toughness to go out there and get a 2+ goal win. And I think they will do that, Derek. Ross County, new manager or not, and you always have to be careful because there often is a bounce, but Rangers are just so much better in every department than Ross County. And from what I've seen of them this season under 2 managers, I don't think they are the team that they've been in previous years where they were kind of stuffy and difficult. They just don't have the quality in forward areas to hurt you, I don't think. So it would be a major, major shock if Rangers weren't to do anything other than steamroll this team 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-0. But obviously they can't be complacent, and they have to approach it as they would any other game. And listen, as I've been saying for a long time, this title is there for the taking, Derek, and this is the sort of game you want to make a statement in. So yes, it's on them. Go out and do it, and I think Ibrox will be a very, very happy place. And once again, Derek, the thing is there's that synergy, isn't there? There's that togetherness at Rangers just now. Everybody's happy. Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet. Everyone feels positive, and that the new manager is going to bring success in the long term. So that comes from the boardroom. It flows down to the manager. It flows down to the fans. It's a happy time for Rangers supporters, I think.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you've got a real opportunity there to just go on in a confident frame of mind and make it happen. And I'm absolutely sure they will.
Yeah, lots of comments come in just on tonight, and I do get the fact that, I mean, no trophies are handed out in February, but as last week was against Aberdeen, I think every game's got that big game feeling now about it. Now it says, win first, worry about goals later, and Raymond Clark with a point says, morning Bears, 3 points is all that matters tonight and no injuries. 3 or more goals would be ideal low, and that's echoed 56 incoming says 3 points is all that matters tonight. The momentum is with us. Rangers is with Rangers. It absolutely is at this moment in time. They're under a great form under the manager.
Can I just slightly disagree with some of that?
Right,
of course,
yep.
the most important thing is 3 points, of course. But I do think there is something in this idea of laying down a marker. You know, Celtic have been the top team in Scotland now for the last 2 years under Ange Postecoglou in terms of domestic trophies. Rangers have started to turn the tide by winning the League Cup. I think it is important to put pressure on. I think it is important to say we're now the top dogs. I think that does say something. It is important. And of course, yes, obviously you've got to take a 1-0 win. That's important. To get the 3 points. That is the most important thing. But I also think it's important to continue the pressure that is being felt across the city. So if Rangers don't do that, I think it would be an opportunity missed. The best title-winning sides are ones that absolutely turn the screw on their opponents. And this is not just a sort of mealy-mouthed, meaningless message, Derek. It is genuine, going top of the league after being 8 points behind, or 7 points behind. Not sure if it was 7 or 8. I think it was 7 when Michael Beale left. That really does say something quite profound. And it's very, very difficult for anyone to kind of get away from that. If Rangers were to go top, I think psychologically that's quite damaging, and it certainly very, very, very much strengthens both Clermont and Rangers, knowing that in a short period they've covered that huge gap, and that's a huge gap in a title race.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. Of course, 3 points is the most primary thing, but I wouldn't disregard the notion of a 4-0 win and what that would mean.
Yeah. I mean, there was a comment that came in saying that if Rangers got a big win in them, and it says, I don't think this team has 3 or 4 goals in them. Unfortunately, we've been grinding out results with a strong defensive backline. I do agree with that. I mean, Easter Road was a convincing win, wasn't it, when we came back from the winter break? A 3-0 win over there. They're more than capable of winning by 3 or 4 goals, I think, tonight. That's it. I did say that Ross County did run Celtic close, but I just, who knows, they may get that new manager bounce. The manager did touch on that in his press conference yesterday, but Rangers are fully focused. They've got that laser vision at this moment in time. And I think if they do go top, Philippe Clement is a winner, Jonny. We all know he's won league titles before in the past. And he is someone, if Rangers go top of the division, he will be doing his utmost to remain there. I know that Rangers will be the team to be got at if they do go top, but he's got that bit between his teeth, doesn't he? He knows how to win titles. He says this constantly in press conferences. It's all about focusing on that next game. That is why we've reached this stage, because he hasn't looked too far ahead. He says it's okay for fans to dream, but for the players and the coaching staff and him, it's all about looking at that next game, which is Ross County, of course.
There's a little bit of the Walter Smith about this guy. There's no doubt about it, Derek. And it's. I know that's an enormously high praise, but
John Brown sort of said similar, didn't he? A couple of days ago, we touched on it in the video yesterday. So sort of saw the similarities between both Walter and Graham Souness, who he played under.
Well, it's just this relentless focus on the next game and refusing to get caught up in any noise.
Yeah.
And I think that is how you win. It's boring, but it is how you actually win titles, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, teams getting carried away, because how many times have we seen Celtic drop points and then Rangers not capitalise over the last couple of years? Or be in a situation where they can put pressure on and they haven't been able to do it. That's what it's about. You know, it's about looking at your rivals and going, bloody hell, they're relentless. Listen, I know I get a little bit of stick because obviously I look at what Ange Postecoglou did at Celtic and say, look, he did a remarkable job there. And you know, when we were at the Rangers review together, Derek, you're looking across the city at the results, and it was like a steamroller, just every week, just, you know, thrashing teams 3 or 4 or 5. And then when they weren't doing that, when they did have a tough game, they would score in the 95th minute and win, just when you thought you had a chance. That's the psychological impact that can have. It leaves you feeling, well, you've got no chance. I think Rangers need to basically establish that for themselves. And I think Philippe Clement is doing that, because he's saying there is nothing more important than this game in front of us. And the way he is with the press, he makes it absolutely obvious he's laser focused on that. He doesn't get sidetracked on any other games or any other issues that might be coming down the line. He's absolutely consistent all the time. This next game is the most important one. And it's just having a manager in there that absolutely knows what it takes to win a title. It's not one title, as Gio had won, or no title. You know, Michael Beale had won one title as a coach, to be fair. This is a guy who's won 3 titles with 2 different clubs, Derek.
Yeah,
and that's not counting what he did as a player. So he absolutely knows what good looks like. And I think that's a massive thing. Based on that, Derek, I would say going forward, any future managers, Rangers have to have folk that have won multiple league titles previously. Because you just see the benefit of having someone in there who's a consistent winner, who's won many times before as a manager. Gio obviously had done it as a player, won multiple titles. But you always felt domestically, Gio just wasn't going to work his style of football as good as it was in Europe at times. But under Clement, there's just a difference in this guy. And I've said it before, but I spent a lot of time with him on the first day that he arrived because I was there and they allow you to sit in on the broadcast presser, which was half an hour. And then he went and sat down with the dailies, which I wasn't part of, but I was with him for the Sunday papers. So I think there was like 15 minutes of that, plus, so it's 45 minutes in the first day, and then there was another presser a couple of days later, and then there was another presser a couple of days after that, because it was 3 games, I think. Can't remember exactly, but something, I spent a lot of time with him in his first week. I just thought from the first time I met him, this guy has got something. You know, you can never truly tell, but he stood out a bit from previous managers that I'd seen in the flesh. And I don't know if it's because of his size, because he's 6'3", he's built like a tank. I mean, he's in good nick. He looks like he could still play. And he's got that sort of stare, but he's also very charming and hospitable, and he's got brilliant English. So it was clear that he had a lot of skills, that he could be a good Rangers manager, but you don't know until he actually gets the team out in the pitch and shows you what he can do in terms of organising them. And you have to say that he's done a brilliant job of that. Now, listen, it's too early because we've only had 1 game against Celtic, and we know that Rangers managers' careers are defined by how they do against the other half of the Old Firm. And it could be that Brendan Rodgers still has the upper hand on that this season. We don't know. But you have to say every other aspect of what he's done so far, other than that 1 game against Parkhead, which was a close run thing, has been pretty much flawless. You know, I saw Connor Goldson talking about the season so far since the winter break, and he described it as perfect. And I think Clement is not far off perfect, is it, his time here in Scotland so far.
Yeah, he's a miracle worker. I mean, he did say he's no Harry Potter at the beginning of his tenure, but he certainly is working magic. There's no doubt about it. Right, let's get on to the team tonight then, because you can check myself and Josh's teams on the website. Folks, do go and check them out. We'll have a little bit of a discussion here. I'll just fire up our teams just now. I'm not too sure whose team this is, but I'll just get it up on the screen. It's just loading up as we speak. Here we go. So this is Joshua's side that he's gone for. There's a couple of different players we've opted for. He's gone for Cyril Dessers up top, a midfield duo of John Lundstrom and Tom Lawrence. The Goldson-Suter partnership, and though the manager did say that Leon Balogun has been wearing the mask in training, and it's all about adjusting that and whether he's comfortable with it, and whether that would mean that he was part of the matchday squad. I think John Suter deserves to keep his place in that back line. That team, Jonny, any disagreements with the personnel there?
That looks about right to me, Derek. I don't know. It depends on what he's planning to do with Silva and Dessers. I would definitely play Silva ahead of Dessers, but it may be that he's boxing clever and he's wanting to slowly integrate and keep them both sniffing in and about the squad. If I was going to play Dessers, I'd rather play him in a game like this at Ibrox against Ross County than perhaps a more challenging away game, which there are a few coming up. So I have to say I probably agree with Josh. I would still go Silva, because I would just play Silva because I think he's a better striker. But I think the manager will know what he needs in terms of physical loads and how much players can take. And it might be there's some considerations there about how little football Silva's played in the last 6 months and wanting to slowly sort of ease him in. And if that's the case, then I completely understand why this would be the lineup. Cortez, I thought, was terrific the other night. He's been really good since he signed. I know he's only had about, I don't know, 120 minutes or something like that. It's not an awful lot to make full judgments, but I really like his work rate. I really like his determination to hit the byline. I think he's going to be a right good player. I think Rangers will sign him. And then with McCausland on the right, you've got a really youthful, quick, full of energy pair of wingers there. So I like that. And then you've got Lawrence, Cantwell, lots of creativity. That can become a 1-2, or it can become a 2-1. Do you know what I mean, Derek? There's fluidity there in terms of the shape of that midfield. And as you've said before, and I think you said before he'd even arrived, what Tom Lawrence has is a flair for the spectacular. So he can get forward and ping one in the top corner. If it is that Ross County are being diligent in their defending and really, really digging in deep, then you've always got that Tom Lawrence rocket that can hit the back of the net and break them down. So I have to say, I like the look of that. I like the look of it, Derek. Ridvan coming on a game, Tavernier as good as ever. Combinations with these two young guys up front. You know, what's not to like?
Yeah, exactly. This is my team, incidentally, folks. So there's a bit of deviation. I've got Mohamed Diamandi in alongside John Lundstrom in my midfield, and I've got Fabio Silva up top. I think it's one or the other with regards to who leads the front line, Jonny. It's either Dessers or Silva, and I think that'll be the case. I know that Silva can play over on that left-hand side, and I've seen a few comments saying that what about Oscar Cortez over on the right? He can play over on the right-hand side, and he may do so tonight. I mean, that's the one thing with Philippe Clement. You can't really predict his starting lineup, can you? He likes to throw in a few surprises here and there. He is a big fan of rotation. He did touch on this in his press conference yesterday as well, saying that all the top clubs in Europe, you can't play the same 10 outfield players, given that the turnaround in games. You've got games coming thick and fast, and it's all about conserving energy, and you need a big squad for that. So this team, Jonny, I think I'm excited to see more of Mohamed Diamandi. I think that is a brilliant acquisition. Again, like Oscar Cortez, we haven't seen much. What I have seen, I've been fairly impressed with them. Excited to see more of Cortez, I've got to say. Todd Cantwell is a player. You mentioned Ridvan coming onto a game. Cantwell's another that's certainly come onto a game, and he's showing just his true potential. I think me and Joshua touched on this in a video earlier on in the week about him being hooked in that Aris game at Ibrox, and you're thinking to yourself, is there a bit of a relationship breakdown between both player and manager? But in the last few weeks, Jonny, he has been back to his best. He's contributing in terms of goals and assists, and Rangers need that if they want to go on and win the title.
Yeah, I don't think Todd Cantwell's the easiest guy to manage in the world. I think he's professional. It's not that, but I think he's a complex guy. I think he's clearly that unusual, sort of very intelligent footballer. He seems like he's a guy with wide interests and someone who I think obviously likes to go his own route. He's a maverick, but to me that could have been a sticky point. That could have been a separation point, Derek. It might have led to problems, but it seems to me that Clement has handled Cantwell since that point perfectly. He's made the point about playing for the team, and he's when he's been asked about Cantwell in press conferences, he said over and over again, you know, he did well, but he needs to keep playing for the team. He keeps reiterating the message. The message is clear. He knows Todd Cantwell's a superstar in terms of his talent.
Yeah.
But that's one thing, and it's another thing delivering on that talent. Ryan Kent was a superstar in terms of talent. Barry Mackay was a superstar in terms of talent, Derek. But it's then, can you take that talent on the training field and then deliver it in the game consistently and effectively? You look at someone like, and we talked about this for the last 4 or 5 years, James Forrest at Celtic. Don't think talent-wise he could lace any of those three players' boots in terms of, you know, quick ability to control the ball, the ability to spot a pass. But James Forrest was getting 15 goals and 15 assists every season. You know, sometimes it's not about talent per se. It's about desire, effectiveness, ability to score goals. You know, And that is an important thing, I think, for any player to get into their head. And listen, Todd Cantwell has the talent, as I say, to tear this league up.
Yes.
But he needs to find the level of effectiveness where he can get 10 or 15 goals and 10 or 15 assists a season. And to be fair to Todd, I think over the last few games, getting the chance number 10, he has been putting in those kind of numbers. But that's when, at the end of the season, when he has, a real totted up number that's impressive, that's when you say, right, Todd Cantwell has properly arrived as a Rangers player. Because I think up to this point, we can see the talent, but I would argue he's not dominating. It's flashes. In the last few games, I think you've started to see more of Cantwell, the team player, and also Cantwell as an effective deliverer of the key stats. And I think it'll certainly be the case that Clement says, long may that continue.
Yeah. Listen, he's I've said it many times before, he's a match winner. He can win games with a sublime bit of skill, and was extremely disappointed in the showing it at Parkhead, so I did want to see an upturn in form, and we're starting to see that, which is good. I'd also like to see an improvement, incidentally, in Nico Raskin, who I don't think is pulling up any trees at this moment in time. I know he's just coming back from injury, so we need to cut him a bit of slack, but I want to see more from Nico. But Mohamed Diamandi gets my nod alongside John Lundstrom in midfield. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Lawrence in there or coming on at some stage, and ditto if Fabio Silva starts off the bench with Cyril Dessers given the nod. But I trust that whatever team Philippe Clement puts out to be good enough to go and defeat Ross County convincingly tonight. Right, let's get to some of the comments that are coming in.
Yeah, just before you do that, just one
yes.
point, one last point. It's amazing, isn't it, that we're talking about a midfield position that could be filled with a £4.5 million new signing, Raskin, Lawrence, or Jack. Now, I know Ryan Jack's not going to be fit for this game, but the point I suppose I'm trying to make is Ryan Jack's not far away. The depth now that you're seeing, now that everyone's fit, is taking Rangers to another level. And the competition that you're seeing, presumably in the training ground, must be incredibly fierce for places. You pointed out that Raskin not been tearing any trees up. I think that's absolutely right. And is in danger of losing his place. He goes from a player that people were thinking, oh, he's certain to get a 15 or 20 million pound move down to England at some point. He's that good, to is he even going to be in the team?
Exactly.
That must be music to every fan's ears, and certainly to the managers.
Yeah. And Dujon Sterling is another one, of course, that was a masterstroke for me, Jonny, moving him into midfield. I don't think we would have seen that under the previous management regime. We've never even seen him really in a Rangers jersey under Michael Beale, of course. So that's been another plus. I think I touched on this earlier as well. You see the improvement in players. I mean, you struggle to think of anyone who improved under the previous regime, but under Clement, there's a whole host of players that have improved. John Lundstrom is one, of course, who's one of the first names in the team sheet just now, and I think he's deserving of a new contract. But there are others. We touched on Ridvan Yilmaz. John Suter, I think, is playing really well at this moment in time. Also, Ross McCausland's came in and really taken his opportunity. And Cyril Dessers, who would have thought that he would know that Rangers are light in numbers up top with the injuries to Danilo and Kemar Roof, but he's another one that is producing in front of goal as well. So again, it's all down to the manager and the players, of course, for showing that their true potential, but the manager deserves a lot of credit. Right, big thanks, incidentally, to Damien for donating to the channel. This is an intriguing point, Jonny. He says, never known a fan base to leave a stadium as early as Rangers fans, as early as 20 minutes to play. What's your opinions on it? Kind of embarrassing, no, he says. I know that the game prior to the Aberdeen game, the club were urging people just to be there until the final whistle, and I think that the fans certainly played their part. It was like a big European game last week. I think tonight will be similar. Fans, it's up to them. I mean, they pay their money at the end of the day, Jonny. They can decide if they need to leave for whatever reason, then it's up to them, of course. Personally, if I was a supporter, I would be staying until the end, but that's just me. I understand fans' reasons. They might need to get a bus or a ferry or what have you back to where they live. So I totally get that. But what's your views on this?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Derek. Look, it's up to people what they want to do with their tickets. You know, once they buy their tickets, they can go or not go, stay till half time, or you know, it's a free country.
Yeah.
But do I think it's aspirational? No, it's not. I don't have a problem when it's 3-4-0, Derek. But I think, you know, when a game's close, I think the Aberdeen game was a good example. Everyone stayed, and I think that really, really helped the team. You know, you're a man down. You never know what can happen. So I would definitely say it's something that I don't like to see when the team are doing are in a tough battle.
Yeah.
And that's something I think people need to be cognizant of. Part of being a supporter, I suppose, is being there for the full 90 minutes. But it's up to people how they spend their money, Derek. And I think if you get into the realms of telling people what to do, they quite rightly say, "Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?" I would rather everyone stayed for every game till the end, and certainly, you know, if I've paid money for a football match, I want to see the whole football match, even if it is a pain in the backside to get back up the road afterwards. But not everyone agrees with me, and that's the spice of life. You know, we have to get on with it. And so Damien, to answer your question in a bit of a wishy-washy manner, I don't think it's embarrassing, but I do think it's not aspirational. And while it's up to people to make their choice, fundamentally, I think the team benefits if people stay.
Yeah, I totally. I mean, I would like to see a full Ibrox at full time, but I totally understand folks different reasons for leaving early. Incidentally, huge thanks to Bluebells Are Blue, who's just gifted 5 Rangers Review YouTube memberships. Thank you very much, buddy. That is very kind of you for doing so. Incidentally, if you become a YouTube member, you get access to up to 3 to 5 extra videos per week, and I'm actually recording one with Joshua just after this video, the Todd Cantwell special, which we were supposed to record a couple of days ago, but work got in the way. But that will be coming your way a little bit later on. So thank you very much for that, buddy. That's very kind of you. Null FNC says, is it on the telly trips, the games tonight? It's on the Rangers TV, buddy. So that is where you can tune in, and of course we will be there at Ibrox as well for all your usual pre-match and post-match content. Josh will be heading over for us, and I'll be on with them as we react to the teams and also discuss what will hopefully be a very good Rangers display. And just off the Public Pilsner Blue says, who's turning their back on their one love this evening and taking their misses out during the match? Why don't you take your misses to the game, perhaps, buddy? That could be a romantic evening watching Rangers in action, although I'm not too sure many partners would agree. Right, we'll wrap up there. Huge thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. Huge thanks to Jonny also. I think you're back on Friday, Jonny?
Yes, I'm back on Friday with Chris being off on holiday this week. I'm stepping in to help out. So, yep, I'll be, I don't know, am I on with you, Derek?
Yes, you'll be on with my good self, of course, as we look ahead to a big game again. I mean, they're coming thick and fast, Jonny. They're up in Perth at the weekend against St Johnstone, 12 o'clock kickoff. Not a fan of the early kickoffs. I've seen a few people actually, incidentally, saying yesterday it's an opportunity, of course, with the games as they are for Rangers. In fact, it's on Sunday, isn't it, 12 p.m. I'm not too sure when Celtic play at the weekend, but every game feels huge, doesn't it? There might be I mean, if you're playing before the other half of the Old Firm, there is that opportunity to put some serious pressure on, isn't it? It just feels like, when was the last time we were in this, a proper title race like this? That we're going way back to when Walter time. I'm thinking.
I think so. Do you know that? I think feeling like it was neck and neck come sort of in the middle of February. Yeah, I think you're going that far back, because it's been a capitulation one way or the other. Apart from that, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So it's going to be fascinating. Listen, across the city, I think it's important to look at what they are doing. I don't think they are playing particularly well, but they are showing that mental toughness to grind out results. So I would be shocked if they're not there or thereabouts come the end of the season. I don't necessarily buy into a theory that I've heard quite a lot that Celtic are about to crumble away. I think that regardless of what you think about Brendan Rodgers, he's got a track record of success in Scotland, and he knows what he's doing. So I think it will be really tight. I've said before, I think Rangers will win the league this year, probably by about 4 points, 5 points, something like that. But I do think it's going to be right down to pretty much the last 3 or 4 games. I think the split and what happens after the split is going to be absolutely massive, Derek. Now, if it doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen, there'll be an inquest, I would suggest. And I think we all know why. I think it'll be down to the lack of number 9, not signing someone who could come in and score 15 or 20 goals and be guaranteed to do that. But perhaps Rangers have enough in the tank with Silva, who's starting to look pretty good, it has to be said. Very good football player. Anyone who knows football can look at this guy and say he's got a bit about him. You can see why Wolves have splashed out big money. So if he can come onto his game, if he can find his feet in the league, if he can get used to the club, get used to the manager, get used to the players around him, start to know what they're doing, start to know the runs that he can make where he'll get picked out, then he might be the answer. I might be completely wrong on that. I think that's possibly what the manager is thinking. Also, listen, and this is another one people haven't kind of thought about, Derek. I've not heard this too much. Danilo might well be one of these guys that he returns quickly. You know, he might be back ahead of where we thought. It might not be the middle of April. It might be the end of March. You know, he might be a month and a bit away. And then all of a sudden, you've got real competition around those forward lines. We just don't know on that one. I know it's a serious injury that Danilo's had, but you can see that he's back training. He puts up these little Instagram videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he fits into the plan once he's fit. How the manager will see him in terms of in the context of the other strikers that they've got there. So I think it's going to be fascinating for us and fascinating for everyone watching, because there's certainly plenty to get your teeth into. Every week there's talking points. Every week there's interesting things going on. But I think Rangers under Clement, Derek, you just don't really feel a sense that they're going to drop points. You know, I think they've got that sort of that machine-like quality when it comes to dispatching teams in the lower half of the league, and then I've been very rarely troubled when they've gone up against the sort of the better teams like the likes of Hearts and Hibs and Aberdeen. Fair enough, Aberdeen got the 1-1 draw at Pittodrie, but I think Rangers should have won that game comfortably. The chances they had, it was a case of missed opportunities. You remember the Sam Lammers header with about 2 minutes to go.
I know it's still. I know,
and he puts it straight at the keeper. So I think there's plenty of reason to be very, very confident.
Yeah. Right before we wrap up, Jonny, score prediction for tonight. How do you see it ending up?
I think it's going to be 3-0 for Rangers. I certainly don't think Ross County are going to score. I think it'll be 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, I'd take 3-0 quite happily right now. Right, folks, we'll wrap up there. Thanks, as ever, for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed that. As I mentioned earlier on, for those of you that are members of the YouTube channel, I'll be jumping on with Joshua almost immediately, and then we will be back later on for the pre-match team news reaction videos and all the post-match videos to come your way as well. So we hope you can join us for that. Until then, enjoy your Wednesday afternoon. Bye for now.